Welcome back to the crypto channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now Bitcoin is retesting a critical area on the price chart, potentially about to flip the market from bullish into bearish again, as the short term has already been playing out this short-term bearish divergence and is now playing out a long squeeze, a long liquidation, which is bearish in the short term. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside Ethereum now still playing out the bearish divergence in the short term, but starting to enter into oversold territories on the smaller time frames. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the 4-day Bitcoin chart, and over the last 1 day, nothing has really changed here on this chart. So getting straight into the 2-day Bitcoin chart, and right now, as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is currently retesting this critical level on the price chart, which previously was significant resistance. But now that we have just recently broken out above that area on the price chart, technically this should now act as new support and will be very bullish if it holds as support. But if we see a confirmed break back below this level, with a candle close back below this level on the 2-day chart, for example, then that would be a very bearish signal, at least in the short term, because that would be telling us that this breakout is just a fake out. It's not an actual confirmed breakout with a follow through if we break back below this line. So this is the line that we need to hold above. And in case you're new to the channel, this is sitting at roughly around 65,000 to 65,500 currently. And in case you're wondering, the next 2-day candle close confirms in a little over 1 day from now. So once again, if we see that candle close confirmed below around 65,000, for example, then technically speaking, that would be an invalidation signal to invalidate this bullish breakout that we saw around a week ago, give or take. And so for the bulls out there, this is definitely the line on the chart that the bulls need to hold in order to potentially remain bullish on the larger time frame. But of course, in the smaller time frames, we've already been bearish for some time now, as I've been saying here on the channel. But first, taking a look at the daily Bitcoin chart, and right now obviously we've broken back below this area on the price chart, sitting in between around 66.8k to around 68.3k, give or take. So now that the price has broken back below that area and also broken back below around 66,000, our next major area of support, at least on the daily time frame here, is sitting in between around 64.1k to 64,500. So keep in mind that area should act as support, considering it was previous resistance back here and also some previous support as well back here. But if we see a break back below around 64.1k, below this area on the price chart, then in that case we could find some short-term support at around 63,000 and also some major support down here in between around 60,000 to 61,000 approximately. And so essentially, those are the potential stopping points for this bearish price action here in the short term, because as the price runs into support, usually the price struggles to go further to the downside, at least initially, as we're running into major support, especially around significant support levels like 60 to 61,000, for example. But if we're taking a look at the shorter term, looking at the 3-hour Bitcoin chart, as I've already been warning about for around half a week now, we do have this active bearish divergence, which is already playing out here in the short term in the form of a short-term pullback, which is one of the most common outcomes from a bearish divergence. So as I've already been saying over the last few days, we've effectively lost pretty much all of this bullish momentum, at least in the shorter term here, as this bearish divergence is now playing out. But it is worth pointing out that on the 3-hour Bitcoin chart, the 3-hour Bitcoin RSI is now starting to enter into oversold territories for the first time in a few weeks or so. And so technically speaking, this means that we're starting to run out of room to the downside, just like how an overbought signal means we're starting to run out of room to the upside, at least in the imminent short term, and due to see a bit of a reset in the RSI, which can give us more room to the upside later on in the case of an overbought signal resetting. But in the case of an oversold signal resetting, this means that at some point, potentially in the next 1 or 2 days, we could see some sort of low put in place with a bit of a bounce or maybe some sideways price action, which can help to reset the RSI out of those oversold territories and technically can give us more room to the downside later on. And so once again, this oversold signal right now does not guarantee that we are at the bottom right now. It just simply means that soon, sometimes in the next 1 or 2 days or so, not necessarily right this moment, but at some time over the next couple of days, give or take, we're most likely going to see some sort of low put in place in order to see a bit of a break from the bearish price action within the next few days or so to reset the RSI. But technically speaking, we could still remain more bearish here in the short term as we are picking up some bearish momentum. And one of the reasons why we are picking up bearish momentum is due to a long squeeze, which I warned about in my last video before the long squeeze actually happened. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. But first, if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, even if they're bearish, you can profit in bearish price action. And personally, I take most of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make your Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim a 500 USDT position airdrop. So basically a free $500 trade, but that's only if you'll make your Bybit account using that link, make a deposit and claim the airdrop. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there's also Bitget, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitget, which means if you're in the US or the UK, for example, or another country where you might not be able to access Bybit, you can access Bitget. So I'll also leave a link to Bitget down below this video. And if you use that link, you can get up to a 5.5k deposit bonus. And only if you use that link, you can get an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the Bitget exchange forever. But that's only if you use that link down below this video to make your Bitget account. And so as another option out there other than Bybit, once again, there's Bitget, links down below if you want to claim those extra bonuses. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and as I warned about in my last video, we have more liquidity building to the downside below the price, which is bearish for Bitcoin, because this is telling us that a potential long squeeze is about to happen. This is what I said in my last video before we saw the long squeeze, and what we saw over the last 1 day was indeed a long squeeze as expected, which is bearish because we wiped out major liquidity to the downside, which means liquidating long positions, which adds sell pressure that is bearish for the market. And that's exactly what we saw as predicted. But if we're zooming out on this Bitcoin liquidation heat map, looking at the last 2 weeks worth of price action, we can see that there's more liquidity to the downside. First of all, we do have a decent amount of liquidity in between around 64.8k to 64.2k. In that area right there, we have a decent amount of liquidity, so that will be a potential price target in the short term. But if we break lower, we also have another decent level of liquidity at around 61,500 to 62,000. And when it comes to liquidity to the upside, we do have a small amount in between around 69.6k to $70,000. But with that being said, at least as of right now, we do actually have more liquidity immediately to the downside compared to what's immediately to the upside, which is bearish. It means basically the price is likely going down because usually the price of Bitcoin, not always, but usually the price of Bitcoin likes to move towards where there's a lot of liquidity, as we've seen recently. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, and right now we're continuing that rejection from pretty much exactly 2.8k on this chart right here. 2.8k is still acting as major resistance, as I've already been saying for a long time now on the channel. And as for support, we could find some support at close to 2,500, which we're basically running into right now. But if we see a further break to the downside, the next significant area of support, at least on this time frame right here, is the golden pocket in between around 2150 to 2.2k. But if we're taking a look at the 12-hour time frame, right now the price of ETH has already broken below this short-term area of support that was sitting in between around 2550 to 2580, and we're now actually running into this area of support at the time of recording this video in between around 2440 to 2475. So at least in the short term, as of recording this video, that area is currently acting as support. But if we see a confirmed break below around around 24.40, then in that case, the next short-term area of support to watch out for is in between around 22.80 to 23.20. And obviously, we're also playing out that overbought signal here on the 12-hour Ethereum RSI at the same time as rejecting from major resistance in between around 2.7k to 2.8k. So that is still significant resistance on the price chart. And if we're taking a look at the 4-hour time frame, we're also still playing out this bearish divergence here in the short term in the form of a pullback, which is one of the most common outcomes from a bearish divergence. We usually end up seeing either a pullback or some sideways price action. And just over the last half a day or so, as we can see right here, that slight little pullback has accelerated with a quicker drop to the downside just over the last half a day to 1 day. And of course, that is the long squeeze playing out. That is the liquidations, basically trades, long positions getting liquidated, which forces the price lower as the longs get liquidated. But while this is now playing out here in the short term, basically a long squeeze pushing the price to the downside, this is pushing the RSI on the 4-hour time frame into oversold territories for the first time since the beginning of the month. And the last time this happened, we were approaching a local low. Now, when we first saw that oversold signal flash last time, right at the beginning of the month, we were not at the local low yet. We saw a very slight bounce and then another little drop later on, but we're getting very close to the local low. So ultimately, within around a day or two, we found that next low before we finally saw more of a relief in the short term, resetting the RSI. So that's why I said earlier for Bitcoin, this signal does not necessarily guarantee that we're definitely at the bottom right now. It just means that very soon, either pretty much now or at some point in the next 1 or 2 days, it's very likely that we're going to soon see some sort of low form, whether it's right now or maybe in a day. Once again, sometime soon, we're going to see a low form and then maybe a slight bounce or at least some sideways price action. So a break or a relief from all of this bearish price action here at some point in the next 1 or 2 days as the most likely scenario, because we need to see that in order to reset the RSI out of those oversold territories, which can also give us some more room to the downside later on. So we also need to consider that. And if we're taking a look at Solana on the daily time frame, unlike Bitcoin and Ethereum, Solana's actually holding up pretty well, at least as of right now. We're still holding in this sideways price range in between this area of support and this area of resistance. So first of all, this area of support based on previous resistance is sitting in between around 159 to 163, and this area of resistance is sitting in between around 170 to 175. So for now, the price of Solana is basically just chopping around sideways within this sideways price range, which means at least for now, the bullish breakout for this bullish inverse head and shoulders pattern is technically still active because we've not yet confirmed a break back below the neckline or back below this area of support, because in order to invalidate this bullish breakout for this bullish pattern, that's what we'll need to see, a confirmed break with a daily candle close back below this level, which is sitting at around 157 approximately, which would also mean a break below this area of support. But as I always say, the price does not move in a straight line. So even though this breakout is technically active with this bullish price target at close to $200, obviously that does not mean we're going to go straight to that price target in a straight line. We're going to see some bumps along the way, some pullbacks or sideways consolidations, and it would only invalidate that price target if we see a break back below the neckline, so below this support once again. And as I've already said recently here on the channel, I would not be surprised if the price of Solana simply just bounces around for a little longer within this sideways price range, as right now we are looking relatively neutral just in the shorter term while we're trading within a sideways price range. But believe it or not, you can make money in sideways price action just like this. And if you want to trade these moves, once again, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade these moves, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways like Solana is right now in the short term, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.